over 55 years, your source for agribusiness news and features from around the Southeast and across the country, focusing on one of the nation's top industries, agriculture. The Farm Monitor is produced by the Georgia Farm Bureau in association with Abraham Baldwin Agricultural College.
Enter, please. Our home is your home as we welcome you to another episode of the Farm Monitor. Ray DeLessio, Jennifer Parson at your service.
Yes, thanks for joining us. And today we've got a good mixture of stories to share with you. For instance, East Georgia pecan growers thought they'd seen the worst after Hurricane Helene until this season delivered yet another surprise. John Holcomb shows us what they're up against. Also ahead, Georgia's climate doesn't exactly scream lavender, yet one couple refused to let it stop them. How hard work, trial and error, and a whole lot of purple turn their farm into a must-see agritourism attraction.
Plus, Convention Week is here, and two Georgia Farm Bureau leaders are closing out their terms in a big way. One made history, the other carried on a legacy, generations in the making. All this and more starting right now on the Farm Monitor. Hurricane Helene may feel like a distant memory, but not if you're a pecan grower in East Georgia. Many say they're still digging out, dealing with damaged orchards, new disease challenges, and one of the worst droughts they've faced in years. John Holcomb shows us the reality on the ground.
Here in Montgomery County, it's been more than a year since Hurricane Helene devastated this orchard, leaving behind deep, deep scars. While younger orchards fared better, older ones took the brunt of the damage, losses that go far beyond a single harvest.
The trees under the age of 10 years old were pretty much spared, but we lost orchards like this and older were just major significant damage. Probably our greatest loss, as you see the loss of the tree, is your future income loss. So you have the crop loss of that year of 2024, but you really had the long-term effects, the future income loss, which is if that tree was still there, what would it make?
Sawyer says that despite that setback, growers still saw early signs of hope this spring and summer, as trees pushed out more flowers and nuts than expected. But that early promise didn't come without challenges. Persistent rain during those same months created prime conditions for one of the industry's most costly issues, scab disease.
We had so much rain through June and July. It became a situation of, we need to not necessarily maintain the scab. We could not get the fungicide on the tree long enough that the rain wouldn't wash it off. We had a frequency of rainfall. It's almost worse than the amount of rain in terms of disease. That period of leaf wetness, when that leaf just stays wet, it's wet at night from the dew, then in the daytime if you get a rain at 1 o'clock, you potentially staying wet for a long time. That disease just continues.
However, in late August, the weather took a drastic turn as the rain shut off completely, pushing orchards, especially those without functioning irrigation, into extreme stress.
We've now been, even at this location, 14 weeks without reasonable rainfall. The whole state has just been without rain this fall. In an orchard that had to go without irrigation, you had that promise of a crop. Those feeder roots are growing straight to the surface to get that water. And once that rain shuts off, the feeder roots die back on a tree.
And with the hurricane damage, disease pressure, and a historic drought all colliding in the same season, Sawyer says the crop has steadily shrunk, leaving growers with far less volume than they hoped for early on.
What wasn't the best crop has just gotten shorter as it's gone, and it's the weight. Your wagons, which would weigh a certain amount in a normal year, that same wagon just doesn't have the volume there. And again, now that we're this far, we can see the 2025 effects of scab, but this drought probably just as significant. And now you add in hurricane stress from the roots, everything.
Reporting in Uvalde for the Farm Monitor, I'm John Holcomb.
Due to the high humidity and clay soils found here in Georgia, lavender is a plant that is very challenging to grow within the state. However, thanks to plenty of hard work and perseverance, one couple defied the odds and is now producing an assortment of high-quality goods with this purple product. Damon Jones has the story.
Tucked away in the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains, you'll find this unique plant growing on the farm of Susan and Herb Lamb. And while it might have been a choice ultimately made by the surrounding wildlife, it is one they couldn't be happier about.
Well, we wanted to do something with the land, and like I said, the bunnies and the deer were a big problem. But it's just, it's very calming, relaxing. People are usually at their best when they're here and happy. And it's a happy place. It's my happy place.
However, planting and growing lavender in Georgia is easier said than done, as it grows best in dry, sandy soil. So, nearly a decade ago, this farm began the long process of preparing that type of soil.
Beginning in January of 2016, and we put truckloads of lime in. We dug down 16 inches and put in layers of gravel. We mulched in gypsum and oyster shells and pebbles and everything that we could think of to help break up the clay. And then we mounded. And then we planted our first 500 baby plants in May of 2016 and almost immediately lost half. So since then, we've made many mistakes. We've had many trials and tribulations and experiments. And we think we've kind of got a handle on it. Every one of these beds that are here are different experiments, and no two are alike.
But all that perseverance has paid off, as this certified farm market is now home to any and everything lavender.
We make all kinds of products. Like I said, we do distill our own essential oil, and we do sell that, and we can label it by the variety or cultivar because we do distill our own. But we make all kinds of bath and body products, soaps and candles and sachets and neck wraps and hand warmers, and we have a lot of culinary products that we sell here too. I like to cook with lavender. A lot of people don't realize that you can cook with it.
Unlike many of the lavender products you can find at a boutique store, the oil used in these goods are all natural and produced right on site.
A lot of things that you buy in the stores are fragranced with fragrance oils that are created in a lab. Ours are we use pure essential oil. Even if you go to stores and you buy essential oil, there can be other things in that bottle. For us, it's just purely the essential oil that we grow here. We know what we put into the ground. We know what we take out.
As for what Susan says she enjoys most about running this agritourism operation,
just seeing people, being so happy. When they come here, they marvel at the view. That's something they've never seen before. They find products they can't get anywhere else. And they just seem to enjoy even just walking around and touching the plants, taking pictures. So it's all fun, happy place.
Reporting from Cleveland, I'm Damon Jones for the Farm Monitor.
Still ahead, service, advocacy, and the kind of leadership that leaves a lasting impression. We revisit a year defined by a dedication and a shared mission to strengthen Georgia agriculture.
Inside the classroom and greenhouse here at Morgan County High School, Rachel Kinzall's lessons go far beyond textbooks. With classes like floral design, horticulture, and forestry, she's introducing students to the wide world of agriculture and helping them find where they fit, even for those that don't come from an ag background.
Right now I teach horticulture, forestry, and floral design. So I'm kind of more on the plant side of things. Floral design came about because we were trying to attract a different kid into the ag program, trying to diversify our population a little bit. At that time we were really boy heavy. And so we created our floral design program to try to pull in different kids that might not have taken an ag class otherwise. So once we get them in the door with our bright and shiny star, the floral design program, then I can convince them to take horticulture or forestry or animal science or maybe even ag mechanics.
That strategy proved to be beneficial, but for Kinzall, it's not just about numbers. It's all about giving them the space to discover where they belong in the world of agriculture.
Well, agriculture is so diverse. And so one thing I really try to focus in on the kids is like we try a little bit of everything to try to find something that sticks and something that they really love. Once they find that area, I think it's just natural for your passion to come out and shine. And so that's what I try to show the kids and try to do that in lots of different ways by giving them different opportunities, whether it be public speaking or it be hands-on production or showing livestock, but giving them a wide variety of opportunities so that they can see what sticks and where their passion lies.
Kinzall's clear passion for ag education is one of the reasons she was recently named a Milken Educator Award recipient, one of 40 in the nation.
They like to celebrate the unsung hero, and so they're looking for people who don't necessarily gain that recognition and like really pushing to celebrate those people. And then they focus on elevating. So I just got back from LA where I met with the other 39 other educators that won the Milken Award across the nation this year. And the focus was elevating us to find our passion, explore our passion, be 10% bolder and take those risks. And then the third part of it is activating. So leaving the conference, I'm activating these educators to go out and do big things, to explore, advocate for education.
For Kinzall, advocating for ag education is something she deems essential, as she believes regardless of whether or not her students pursue careers in ag, the program prepares them for the workforce.
CTAE is really working to prepare students for the workforce, to prepare them through career tech and ag education. I think a big portion of my job is advocating for what we do so that our program is seen relevant in the community and relevant in the state. So whether the kids go into ag or not, or go in one way or the other, we're hoping that they're much more prepared for the workforce.
Reporting in Madison for the Farm Monitor, I'm John Holcomb.
Well, Convention Week for Georgia Farm Bureau has arrived, a time when members from across the state come together to celebrate accomplishments, set priorities, and transition new leaders into key roles. And this year, 2 committee chairs are marking the end of their terms defined by service, advocacy, and history. For the first time ever, the Young Farmers and Ranchers Committee was led by a woman, Allie Andrews of Lamar County. And on the women's leadership side of things, Thomas County's Julie Hardy continued a long generational legacy of elevating the voices of Georgia agriculture. 2 leaders, 2 journeys, 1 shared mission. In Georgia's rural areas, making a difference takes dedication. This year, 2 women have done just that, while shaping the future of agriculture along the way. Allie Andrews of Lamar County added a historic title in 2025, becoming the first female chair of Georgia Farm Bureau's Young Farmers and Ranchers Committee.
I mean, it's an honor, first and foremost, to be even thought of, to be voted in as this position. But I want to do it right, and I want to do it well. And I don't want it to be about the title, but the service along with that title. So I just really want to do the organization, the committee, the young farmers and ranchers throughout the whole state. I want to do it well for them.
Yeah, I'm just proud of how she's, moved up and just wanted to serve and just kept serving. And she just worked hard to be in that position. So I'm just proud of her and happy for her and happy for all of us being able to be a part of it.
As a mother, a wife, a farmer, and now a history maker, Allie wears many hats. But without a doubt, her absolute favorite title is mom. Why is it so important to you guys that you raise them on the farm the right way?
It's a great question. I would say appreciation. It's hard work, and you've got to love what you do. And so I've seen how Luke grew up on the farm and just grew up appreciating what we have. God's not making any more land. And so for our kids to grow up and just, hey, I'm going to the creek. I'm going to the fort at the creek. kids in a neighborhood don't get that. And that's not downplaying that, this is just what God blessed us with. But, they appreciate a lot more. They appreciate a nap, I don't know. I think it's humility.
For Ellie and Luke Andrews, raising their 3 children on the farm isn't just about lifestyle. It's about legacy. It's about giving them something the world sometimes forgets: perspective, purpose, and connection to the land.
Just south in Thomas County, Julie Hardy has spent the past year leading the Georgia Farm Bureau Women's Committee, bringing her own family farm legacy and a fierce voice for advocacy to the forefront. Julie's path has been guided by a lifelong connection to the land and a determination to give back to the community she so loves.
I've only been back on the farm full-time for a few years now. I've worked in research, corn seed research. I've been a grain merchandiser. I've worked for a cotton gin. So I've worked in different aspects of agriculture, but only on the farm full-time for the last few years. But it's something I've been striving to do since I've graduated from college, was to get back here. And my husband a few years ago said, that's what you want to do. That's your passion. Let's do it. I grew up here on this same land. I grew up that way. And I've just been here my whole life, and it's part of you. And when you leave, you get a homesick feeling. But now I'm home, and I've never been happier.
Both Allie and Julie know that farming is more than crops, more than livestock. It's about community, purpose, and a commitment to the future.
I would have never seen myself in Washington, D.C. Like this little old girl from Butts County, Georgia, now living in Barnesville, Georgia, advocating for agriculture, which I did not come from an ag background. So I would have never thought that I would go to Washington, D.C. and advocate for what we're advocating. Maybe to visit for the history, and it's our nation capital, sure. But to be up there at their doorstep advocating for agriculture, I would have never thought of it. And I wouldn't have ever had that opportunity if it wasn't for Farm Bureau.
Farm Bureau has opened so many doors for me, doors I didn't even know were there. If you let the right people, let everyone know that you want to do as much as you can, there's unlimited possibilities. I've done the Women's Leadership Boot Camp. I've been to Washington, D.C. I've been to the AFBF conventions. You can do as much or as little as you want, and I've met some amazing people. And like I said, I've done things that I didn't even imagine I would be able to do. My favorite thing is going to Washington, D.C. and advocating on the Hill for issues going on back here at home.
And for these two leaders, the lessons they've taught, the voices they've amplified, and the example they've set will resonate far beyond the fields they tend. Yeah, they don't come much better than that, do they? Of course, we want to keep you up to speed about any of the stories you may have missed on today's show, and that's what the Farm Monitor YouTube page is for. But don't stop there. While you're online, give us a click and a like on the Farm Monitor Facebook page. If you have a unique story idea or you just want to drop us a comment or suggestion, shoot us a message either on Facebook or email us at news@farm-monitor.com.
After the break, how does a Georgia dairy go from 56 pounds of milk per cow to nearly 100? The answer involves science, innovation, and a whole lot of commitment to the next generation.
I've always believed, some people will say sustainability is like this new thing for farmers, but truly farmers have to be the most sustainable people because everything they do is to be passed to the next generation. I'm Megan Clark from Godfrey Dairy in Madison, Georgia. We milk around 1,100 cows, and we farm close to 2,000 acres.
It's changed so much over time to how we learned about managing cows. Through genetics, nutrition, and cow comfort is the three biggest ways you can improve. About 4 years ago, we started doing DNA samples of our calves. So through that, we're able to select more of the better animals for Godfrey Dairy to make them more efficient. Efficiency means the less disease prevalence, the higher, the longer she can maintain production, and the quicker she gets there after having a calf.
Here we do grow our own forages. So we have the dairy side and then we have the crop farm side. Every bit of it for feed.
Through the nutrition side of it, healthy cows produce better milk. The tweaks are made along the way of putting the feed up at the right time. And also, we've learned that you can add feed additives into our rations to make the cows produce less methane. We understand that we have to keep her on feed and keep her comfortable. But unfortunately, cows do not sweat. And so we figured out that we can do evaporative cooling. And so we've added sprinkler soakers and we blow fans across her to blow the heat off her. So as the water evaporates off the cow, the fans carry it away from her, keeping her more comfortable. Being at this dairy for so long, I can go back until our earlier records on the computer of where our per milk production per cow was like 56 pounds per animal. Now it's 100 pounds an animal.
I have been told before, you can never manage what you don't measure. It is one of the reasons that I was happy to volunteer for the roadmap assessment.
We've been working with the Dairy Alliance to develop a roadmap for the state of Georgia to determine what would be some of the practices and technologies that might help these dairies become more environmentally sustainable and also to help them stay economically viable. When we come to a dairy, after we have met with the Dairy Alliance, we look at the feed area. We also will then look at the production area. Third area is looking at manure management. And then the fourth area that we look at is energy.
The roadmap assessment is to learn what is our carbon score. I really am thankful for the report and going through it. Okay, here's ways that we can improve. And we're already below the national average, and so I think that we really can improve that score.
We not only put together the recommendations, but we also come up with some cost estimates for those, and we can help maybe coming up with some funding sources because they're not cheap.
2023 was the first year that Georgia was included in the Southeast Dairy Business Innovation Grant, and we were so thankful to receive the full amount, and we were able to purchase a new chiller.
With the new chiller, we're able to cool milk quicker and more efficient and using less resources.
Everything here is full circle. You're flushing with wastewater that goes back into a lagoon that's being irrigated. Then we are fertilizing fields with manure, and we're growing crops and turn around and feeding it to the cows. And so every piece of waste here is put back into the land. When Ashley and I inherited the dairy very unexpectedly, of course, that was the question. It's like, are you guys going to continue to do it? We looked at each other one day and like, but what else? I do hope that there is a family member running it in 50 years. For sustainability and thinking of it that way, everything we do is for the next generation to be successful.
Great story. Special thanks to the Dairy Alliance for letting us show it to you. Before we go, quick reminder that for all the latest ag news and what's happening on Georgia farms, be sure you check out all of our social media platforms, including farm-monitor.com.
For Jennifer and everyone here at the show, thanks for watching. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time right here on the Farm Monitor.